So last night's debate was probably one of the best debates I've seen so far. It was filled with twists, turns, and funny ass sound bits. The reason why last night's debate was so interesting and most likely the best debates we've heard in this 2020 primary is because it really separated the candidates that excelled and the candidates that just did shitty. So on to the losers of this debate. The biggest loser of this debate would have to be Mayor Bloomberg. M- Mayor Bloomberg's showing in his first debate is the personifications of what you do not want to do in your debate. Um, you could just tell that Mayor Bloomberg did not prepare for this debate at all. He actually thought that him just bombing the airwaves with his 300 million plus um campaign ad buyings were enough to win him the Democratic nomination. He wasn't prepared, and the thing is, he wasn't prepared for the most obvious answers that you would think that these moderators would give him. He wasn't prepared for the NDAs. He wasn't prepared for his history of sexist comments towards women. He wasn't prepared for um redlining. He wasn't prepared for the most obvious questions that you would think he would get asked for. It really makes you think, what kind of people does Bloomberg surround himself with besides yes men? This makes you think that Bloomberg really thought that he could win the Democratic nomination with just his billions and billions and billions of dollars. Another loser in this debate is Joe Biden. Although Joe Biden in the beginning of the debate was fierce and was aggressive towards Bloomberg, he, like he always does, he reverts back to Sleepy Joe. He reverts back to Sleepy Joe, and he's really just not. He's not participating. He doesn't look that engaged. He looks like that he's actually bored with today's debate. Now, and another loser is definitely Pete Buttigieg. For some reason, Pete Buttigieg, he just continues with saying the things that a majority of voters do not want to hear. He continues to attack Medicare for all, although Medicare for all is supported by the vast majority of Americans. He continues to matter of fact, Pete Buttigieg is actually the only candidate to not criticize Mayor Bloomberg. That tells you about his character. That tells you that Pete Buttigieg really supports the same ideologies of a Bloomberg, of a corrupt oligarch. So Pete Buttigieg lost because he just continues to do the things that a vast majority of Americans does not want to hear from him. Now on to the winners of this debate. The winners of this debate is definitely Klobuchar. I feel like Klobuchar, she did good in this debate because she was probably the only moderate in that Democratic debate that sounded appealing. When you compare Klobuchar to Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden and Bloomberg, she was probably the moderate that gave the best answers. Even when Pete Buttigieg was trying to destroy her experience in Washington, she was able to give better answers than the answers that Pete Buttigieg was able to give. But that's not to say that Klobuchar is a serious candidate to win the nomination of the Democratic primary. Klobuchar has no chance of winning the nomination. She does not attract the black vote. And again, what candidate can honestly say that he or she can win the Democratic can win in the general if he or she does not attract the black vote? You're being foolish and you're just wasting everyone's time. And another reason why Amy Klobuchar will not be the Democratic nominee is because, again, all the other Super Tuesdays states will not support her. Her standing in Nevada will not be pretty, and after the Nevada primary is over, expect Klobuchar to drop out. On the biggest winner of today's debate would probably have to be Warren. But before I get to her, let me talk about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is also the winner of this debate because he was able to talk about the policies that are actually popular with the majority of Americans. He was talking about Medicare for all. He was talking about how he was also criticizing Pete Buttigieg's plan in reference to health coverage, because he was saying that Pete Buttigieg's version of healthcare will is basically not sustainable to a majority of Americans, and we're just gonna have the same problems that are plaguing Americans in reference to Medicare. Um, another thing that Another reason why Bernie Sanders was the winner of this debate was because he was attacking Bloomberg like if Bloomberg stole something from him. All of his key points were that Bloomberg didn't actually earn his wealth. Bloomberg is not a real Democrat. He supported George W. Bush for his 2004 reelection, and he was also just hammering Mayor Bloomberg's history of not supporting popular policies during his time as mayor. Bloomberg, for example, didn't want $15 minimum wage. He thought I was a stupid idea. And Bernie Sanders was also able to hit on Bloomberg not wanting to fix the healthcare system in America. Now on to the biggest winner. The biggest winner of this debate would have to be Warren, without a doubt. Although Elizabeth Warren has no chance in being the Democratic nominee, for the same reason why Klobuchar, Biden, and Buttigieg, and definitely Mayor Bloomberg does not have a chance to win the Democratic nominee because she just doesn't attract the black vote as well as Bernie. She does not attract Hispanic voters as well as Bernie, and her campaign really is gonna die. And after the Nevada primary, or maybe the South Carolina primary, expect Warren to drop out as well. But Warren definitely had the best performance in this debate because Warren was just able to, if Bernie was beating Bloomberg to a bloody pulp, then Warren was beating Bloomberg to a bloody pulp and stealing his fortune, because Warren's attacks on Bloomberg's NDA histories, Bloomberg basically not being a Democrat, was probably the best counterpoints into Bloomberg's history. Yeah, Warren was definitely the biggest winner, and the other winners of last night's debate was definitely Klobuchar and Bernie Sanders. And the losers of last night's debate was Joe Biden, because he was good at first, but then he just went down to his low energy self towards the end of the debate. And Bloomberg was definitely the biggest loser in this debate, because his inexperience, his lack of preparation in tonight's debate and last night's debate was just really clear.